a really great finish to the end of last season, and I think we came in with high expectations. And I think we started to overlook a lot of the things that we did well last year. We thought it would just come naturally this year. When at the end of the day, it all came down to hard work. So I think we kind of lost our way a little bit in the beginning of the season. It was 1 win in 5 months, but I don't think we really panicked too much because we understood that at some point it was going to click. And again, I think it was just this certain sense of togetherness that we created around the building, and I think that's why we're in the position that we are.
You chose the Premier League because you described it in an interview as life and death. Explain what you mean by that.
Yeah, I think you see it this year. You know, we're going to have 10 teams playing in European competition. It's for me the toughest league in the world. Every week you're playing against some of the best players for the country, some of the best players, again, like I said, in the world. And in some leagues you don't quite get that competition. But again, that's why I think the Premier League is the best, is because you're forced to play against these players. You can't hide from it. You have to go through every team if you want to be the best. So like I said, beat the best to be the best, and that's why I came here, is because I want to become the best version of myself.
You're playing for an Austrian coach, Oliver Glasner. Just tell us a little bit about what you've learned from him this season.
I think the number one thing that we learned from him was ambition. You know, he came into this club wanting to change our stereotypical narrative. You know, finish mid-table, don't do anything for a cup. To be fair, this season we are finishing mid-table, but again, you see we're in a cup final. I believe last year we finished 10th. So I mean, came in the season wanting to compete for a cup. We said that from day one. Wanted to break the points tally record, which we're tied with right now. And again, all this happened with only 1 win in 5 months. So. Again, from day one, Glasner came in and said, do we just want to finish mid-table? Do we just want to sack off the cups? Or do we want to actually go and do something and change the history of this club? And from the higher-ups to the coaching staff to us to the fans, I think we all deserve it. And I think that's exactly what we're aiming to do.
You're quoted as saying, London's dope. I've enjoyed trying to find things that I like. New foods, new clothes, new places to visit.
Yeah.
So, what's your favourite food over here?
Oh, favorite food, put me on the spot. Honestly, I think because we have a lack of this community in Alabama, I think it's something that I've finally gotten able to try and love here is, I want to say jerk chicken. We have no Caribbean community in Birmingham, so I think being able to come and embrace myself into that.
Come to North London,
hey, please, please.
And I know you're partial to a bit of tea.
Yeah.
Tell me where that's come from.
I can get behind a bit of lemon ginger tea. Just Earl Grey breakfast tea, and I haven't quite grown fond of that yet.
We'll try to work on you.
Definitely.
Chris Richards, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Dr. Sadek Kasim is the Chief Technology Officer at Danaher Genomic Medicines, and he joins me now from Boston. Welcome, Doctor. Thanks for talking with us.
Pleasure to be here, Rosemary. Thank you.
So baby KJ has made medical history. He's now 9.5 months old. But back in February, he received the world's first personalised gene editing treatment for a rare condition. Now, you're not the treating physician, but what's the science behind this remarkable breakthrough and how significant is it?
Yeah, well, so all humans are made up of DNA, and DNA is like the code book of life. And there are over 3 billion letters that define many of our features, like our eye color, our hair color. And one mistake in that 3 billion letter code can lead to disease. And in the case of baby KJ, one typo or one mistake in that 3 billion letter code led to a potentially fatal disease called a urea cycle disorder. And so the clock was ticking. The physicians at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Dr. Kiran Musunuru and Dr. Rebecca Arns-Nicholas, were able to quickly identify that one typo in the 3 billion letter code and quickly mobilized, tapped on a few different shoulders to collectively mobilize between Danaher, between the Innovative Genomics Institute, Aldevron, IDT, Acuitas. They were able to mobilize an ecosystem of academia industry to develop the world's first custom gene editing therapy. And it's been called the fastest drug ever developed. And between August and February, the team mobilized, created this medicine, and baby KJ was treated on February 25th. And by all signs, based on the published reports that came out last week, it seems to be doing well and growing and thriving for someone of his age.
Yeah, it is extraordinary. So, Doctor, what were the biggest challenges involved in making this happen for baby KJ?
Well, this has never been done, so the roadmap had not been defined. And so, this is unprecedented in terms of the collaboration that was mobilized across industry, government, and academia. And additionally, just the clock was ticking. So doing all of this at unprecedented speed while not cutting any corners and making sure that safety was optimal, I think those were the key challenges. But the story isn't necessarily about baby KJ alone, because what this specific collaboration has defined is a roadmap that can potentially be used to treat many other rare genetic disorders.
Earlier, I spoke with UNICEF spokesperson Tess Ingram, and I asked her whether economic pressure on Israel would be enough to compel Benjamin Netanyahu to allow more aid to enter Gaza.
They have to be enough, because we are at a point of absolute catastrophe in this moment. We are seeing children dying from malnutrition being live streamed to the world. We're seeing constant, intense and indiscriminate bombardments across Gaza. As your correspondent just said, 500 people since Thursday. That's more than 100 people being killed reportedly every day, many of them children, and if they survive, they have lifelong injuries. So we really do need the international community to step up in earnest to do everything that they can, not just to end the blockade and make sure that aid flows freely, but also to address the bombardments. We need a return to a ceasefire.
And Tess, what's been the impact so far of Israel's nearly 3-month-long blockade of aid in Gaza, and how would you describe conditions on the ground right now?
The conditions on the ground are almost beyond words for us at this point, and I don't like to say that. It's my job to have words, but it's really hard to describe the extent of the impact of this blockade on children. Of course, we're seeing rising levels of malnutrition. The whole Gaza Strip is at risk of famine. 1 in 5 people face starvation out of a population of 2 million people. Children are not getting enough to eat. They are becoming sick. We're seeing diseases rising because there's also not enough safe water for children to drink. And that creates a vicious cycle: disease, dehydration and malnutrition that is going to result in skyrocketing child deaths unless we can get that aid in to address it. And we need not to just get food in. We also need to be able to get in these nutrition treatments for the severely malnourished children, water, medicine. the handful of trucks that we've managed to get through the crossing to the other side in the last 48 hours, it really is just a drop in a bucket. It is not going to address the escalating needs that we're seeing.
When you posted this message, 8647, and I said there are different interpretations of it, but one interpretation of it is to end someone or something. Was there anything in the back of your mind that said, maybe I just shouldn't post this?
Yeah, no, literally nothing, because it seemed entirely innocent and clever to me. I have never, and actually still don't associate 86 with violence, but because I heard that some folks were, whether they do that reasonably or not, I don't want any part of it, and so that's why I took it down from my Instagram account.
You know you are held to, I think, a different standard, that you're in the spotlight in a way that a lot of people aren't. Do you think that makes it even more incumbent on you to be careful about things like this?
Sure, if you have any inkling that there's a problem. But they were talking about seashells at the beach that my wife and I stood over trying to understand what it was. And she said just what you said in the intro, which is she was a longtime server when we were in school. And she said, yeah, that used to mean, it was a kitchen a phrase to say 86, meaning to get it off the menu. And I thought, well, that's a clever political message. Never occurred to me, and actually still doesn't, that it's associated with violence.
It still doesn't, even though people have pointed it out that it has been used in that context?
Yeah, I've never seen it used in that context or heard it used in that context. Still.
How was your interview with the Secret Service about this?
Oh, good. They're total pros. I've worked with Secret Service for many, many years, and they asked the right questions, trying to understand why I did it. We had a very similar conversation to the one you and I just had.
Did you leave thinking that they believed you, or did you leave thinking they still had concerns?
Well, I don't have any reason to believe they don't believe me. And so I feel like they asked the right questions, and I can't imagine there'll be any more on it.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Joining us now is Wes Rumbaugh. He's a fellow in the Missile Defense Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies here in Washington. Good to have you on, Wes. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So first, let's begin with the reality here. Is the technology there to defend an area as big as the United States, and the President mentioned Canada as well, from not just missiles, but they're talking about hypersonic weapons, and other missiles such as cruise missiles? Is it possible?
I mean, so technologically what you're talking about, I mean, the United States and countries around the globe field defenses against cruise missiles every day. Ukraine fields defenses against cruise missiles and against limited ballistic missiles as well. The technologies that are more challenging here are the space-based interceptor technologies that Donald Trump talked about and harkened back to the Strategic Defense Initiative introduced by Ronald Reagan. Now, obviously, there's been significant technological advancement since the 1980s in terms of reduction in cost in space launch and miniaturization of important technologies like electronics and other capabilities. So it is more technically feasible now than it was then. The biggest challenge here is simply the scale, talking about defending against all different types of missiles that require different types of defenses for each of those systems.
The president gave a 3-year timeline. I mean, that runs counter to even what U.S. military officials are saying about many more years. Is that workable to have something, even in the best case scenario, something in place by the end of his term?
I would call that an exceptionally ambitious timeline. I think that it's more likely a reflection of maybe an initial operating capability or some small demonstrator element inside of the next 3 years. But the cost that he's talking about, $175 billion, is sort of towards the low end of what the Congressional Budget Office estimated of what the 20-year cost of just the space-based interceptor component of this project would be.
CNN's Jeremy Diamond has more now from Tel Aviv.
Well, the United Nations says 100 aid trucks were approved by Israel for entry into Gaza. We know, of course, that this comes after Israel allowed just 5 aid trucks into the Gaza Strip yesterday, following this decision from the Israeli Security Cabinet to allow a basic and minimal amount of aid into Gaza to prevent all-out famine from engulfing the Gaza Strip. The question now really is how much aid is going to get in, and for how long will Israel continue to allow at least some aid to be brought into the Gaza Strip, because humanitarian aid officials have made clear that the amount of aid that's gotten in so far represents just a drop in the bucket of the enormous need that currently exists in Gaza, and stemming the hunger crisis that is currently taking over the Gaza Strip will require sustained aid to continue to make it into Gaza, according to the United Nations. Now, as this is happening, Israel is indeed continuing to escalate this expanded military offensive in the Gaza Strip. Since Thursday, more than 500 people have actually been killed in Gaza by Israeli air and artillery strikes. The ground offensive that has been promised doesn't seem to have materialized in a very significant way, although we do know that tens of thousands of Israeli troops are mobilized in Gaza in order to carry out that offensive. And it's already bringing a lot of pressure, international pressure, onto Israel. France, the United Kingdom, and Canada all threatening to take concrete actions against Israel if they do not cease this expanded military offensive, which they call a wholly disproportionate escalation. The United Kingdom has already taken some steps, suspending negotiations with the Israeli government on a new trade agreement, also calling up Israel's ambassador to the United Kingdom to discuss this matter further. The Israeli Prime Minister rejecting this criticism from countries that are traditionally considered allies of Israel. The real question, though, is what kind of pressure will the United States bring to bear? We know that they are working to try and bring about a new ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, but so far no concrete signs of any real progress on that matter. Jeremy Diamond, CNN, Tel Aviv.
Well, Home Depot says it will not raise prices on most items despite Donald Trump's tariffs. Still, it says the price of select items will go up and other items will no longer be sold. The company reported earnings earlier. Its executives say it's trying to keep costs competitive as plunging consumer sentiment weighs on sales. Shares were down after the announcement. Well, Nathaniel Meyerson is following the story and joins us now. Good to see you, Nathaniel. So just give us a sense of Home Depot's earnings report, its forecast, and what it's saying about tariffs.
So it's actually really surprising what Home Depot is saying, because you've had so many companies that are saying the tariffs are really going to hurt them. But Home Depot is saying that it can manage the tariffs and that prices are not generally going to rise. Now, Home Depot is saying this because it's able to source about half of its merchandise from the United States, and Home Depot has reduced its reliance on China the past several years. So it's not entirely exposed to China and other imports, and so that's how Home Depot is saying that it's going to be able to manage tariffs. And look, Home Depot is the largest home improvement retailer in the U.S., so it has the size and scale to drive prices down, and actually thinks it could be an opportunity right now to gain market share against smaller competitors that are going to be forced to raise prices. Now, Home Depot also said that it may have to cut some products if they just get too expensive from tariffs, but the consumer impact here may be more muted than other retailers.
It's interesting, though, Nathaniel, when you compare what Home Depot is saying to Walmart, which is arguably the biggest retailer in the world. Why the contrast?
Very notable that just days after Walmart said that higher tariffs are going to mean higher prices, and Walmart was very outspoken about how even Walmart, the world's largest retailer, is going to have an impact from tariffs. Very notable that Home Depot is kind of taking a step back here and tiptoeing around tariffs. Now, we don't know exactly why Home Depot is doing it, but of course, Donald Trump, the president, attacked Walmart, went after them for raising prices because of tariffs, said that Walmart should eat the costs. So it does beg the question of whether Home Depot is worried about kind of getting blowback from the president, and how are other companies going to navigate messaging around prices and messaging around price strategy over tariffs. We have Target's reporting earnings tomorrow. Going to be really interesting to see how they talk about tariffs and how other companies, knowing that Trump's Truth Social posts may hang over all of this.
Hope was born from the belief that no story is ever small, that in the tapestry of human experience, every thread holds the weight of the whole. In a world that often tries to divide us, literature remains one of the lost sacred spaces where we can live inside each other's minds, if only for a few pages.
That was author Banu Mushtaq speaking after she was awarded the International Booker Prize for Heartlamp, a collection of short stories. The award celebrates achievements in translated fiction, and Heartlamp is the first ever book written in Kannada language to win the prize. In the book, Mushtaq writes about the lives of women and girls in patriarchal communities in southern India. She shares the award and the prize money with translator Deepa Bashti. I'd like to now bring in Will Evans. He is the founder and CEO of Deep Vellum, the largest publisher of translated literature in the U.S. They also have a bookstore in Dallas, Texas. Will, it is great to talk to you. Let's first talk about the winning work, Heartlamp by Banu Mushtaq and translated by Deepa Bashti. It is a collection of 12 stories that highlight, there you go, the experiences of girls and women in southern India. What stands out to you about this book, and what about it do you think clearly resonated with the judges?
I think that Heartlamp is an inspired choice by the judges. I want to commend the jury who helped select this book, and I want to commend the publisher and Other Stories who have done extraordinary work for years, bringing in languages like Kannada. This is the first book ever to win this award, translated from the Kannada language of southern India. It's an extraordinary testament to the vision of independent publishing, with storytelling that is bold and innovative in showing us a part of the world that we don't often get to see, bringing us into connection from a country far away like India to the UK to readers in the US. It's an extraordinary book. It's written with great human universality, and it's the kind of stories that really remind us all of what the power of literature is and what it can do. And it's really, this book is an inspired choice for it being a short story collection. And that's the first time this award has ever gone to a story collection. And when you read them in total, you're able to see a composite picture of what the world is like, rather than the novel form, which has dominated this award and many of the awards for years. It's really something really powerful to award it to short fiction, too.
Yeah, many firsts with this selection. I watched the award ceremony, Will, and Max Porter, who is the chair of the judges, said this: translated literature is a way of communicating over a border, under a wall, beyond an algorithm's reach. And he said, in these books, we search for and find news of the human elsewhere. I found that to be quite poetic. How do you see literature as a tool for amplifying marginalized voices? Obviously, in this case, through stories that address issues like gender inequality, religious oppression, the caste system.
Literature is one of the great universal art forms. It's been a part of the human condition ever since humans created the language millennia ago, and it's something really beautiful to see. Literature and translation is it offers the opportunity to take what is foreign and to bring it to us and to bring us to the foreign in a true dialogue. Literature and translation, thanks to great translators like Deepa, it's an amazing opportunity to get to tear down the walls of misunderstanding, to get to meet the other, to humanize, and to really celebrate these beautiful differences that make us who we are as a part of one big world. It's everything about dialogue. It's what brings us together through literature. It's what inspires us at Deep Vellum. It's what inspires publishers like And Other Stories. And Max, of course, said it better than any of us could. That's a testament to him as an extraordinary writer as well.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Secretary Kennedy, whose decision was it to withhold child care and development block grant funding?
Senator, I want to point out that in 2021, at the beginning of his administration, President Biden submitted his budget on May. You know what? You made an accusation of me, and I'm going to answer it.
Okay, I appreciate
On May
that.
28th, he submitted his budget. So our budget. We're a new administration.
Okay, you can.
And I also want to point
I
out.
have just 2 minutes left. I asked you a specific.
I want to point out something, Senator. You presided here, I think, for 32 years. You presided over the destruction of the health of the American people.
Well,
Our people are now the
Mr.
sickest people in the
Secretary,
world.
seriously.
Because you have
Mr.
not done your
Secretary,
job.
Seriously. That is an
What have you
amazing
done about it? What have you
Mr.
done about the
Secretary,
epidemic
I am here
of
to
chronic
ask-
disease?
Mr. Secretary,
What have
are
you done
here
about the epidemic
Mr.
of chronic
Secretary,
disease?
Seriously, Madam
Mr. Secretary,
Chairman.
I would ask you to hold back and let the senator ask the questions.
Mr. Secretary, I'm asking you a question about child care. I'm asking you who made the decision to withhold child care and development block grant funding.
That was made by my department.
Elon Musk says he's taking a step back from political spending. The Tesla CEO was asked at the Qatar Economic Forum about his plans.
In terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
Is it because of blowback?
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
Well, Musk spent more than $290 million to help Donald Trump and other congressional candidates get elected last year. He then led the Trump administration's so-called Department of Government Efficiency. But the billionaire failed to get Wisconsin voters to back his pick for the state's Supreme Court, despite spending $20 million on that race. Well, Hadass Gold is following the story and joins us from New York. Good to see you. So he's the world's richest man, but he's stepping back from government and announcing that he's going to cut back his political spending. Why now?
It's pretty stunning to hear Elon Musk say this because, as you noted, the amount of money that he spent to get President Trump and other Republicans elected, spending money in Wisconsin. And he often talked about how he really viewed these elections as saving humanity's future, as how it was so necessary for our survival as a species to get these people elected. And now he's saying, I don't really see a reason to continue my political spending. And I don't think that's because he thinks that the work is done and everything is just fine. And a lot of Republicans are probably hearing what Elon Musk is saying, and they're getting very worried because what about the midterm elections? There is a slim Republican majority in Congress right now. Things could easily change, easily flip. Now, it is completely possible that Elon Musk will still be involved behind the scenes, and we're just not going to see him on stage brandishing a chainsaw like we have seen him up until now, essentially. But also, I think you have to look into what else is happening around him. As you noted, he supported that judge in Wisconsin. That candidate failed. And also, Tesla is having its own issues. We've seen its sales and its stock prices diminishing as Elon Musk has been so closely associated with Tesla. Tesla's been so closely associated with Elon Musk. And then when you look at Elon Musk's own approval and disapproval ratings, and you can see where there has been quite a drastic change in just a few months. In February of 2025, his disapproval rating was at 49%. In just a couple months, it pops up to 57%, and his approval rating has not gone up significantly at all. I do think it's notable, though, that even despite his comments today that he is stepping back from politics, he doesn't see a reason to spend more money in it, he did leave the door a little bit open, and he did himself say that he is still going to Washington. As he has said, he's going to spend 1 to 2 days working on issues with Doge. And he said in that interview that he's going to Washington this week to have dinner with President Trump. He's going to be meeting with cabinet secretaries as well. So he's still obviously going to be involved in politics, but perhaps we won't see him spending the same amount of money until there's another candidate or until there's another issue that he gets really passionate about.
Breaking news, President Trump speaking out about former President Biden's prostate cancer diagnosis.
It's very sad, actually. I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't